Another fun microphone to try is a contact mic. Contact mics are a little bit different from your conventional microphones in that they aren't made for picking up sounds that are in the air. So they're made for picking up sounds or vibrations from materials or mediums. So for instance, we could place it on our body and try and capture the vibrations from inside our body, or on a table and knock on the table, or other things that are going on. So it can be interesting for listening in to machinery, or various things that we might excite in different ways. So we might strike or bow or rub something on some other surface and get the vibrations or the sound that are traveling through that material. In a way, you could think of it like when you put your ear right against something, like a big piece of metal or something like that, and you play with the surface or listen to the vibrations. So it's a similar kind of thing to that, where we in that case, we'd be conducting a lot of the sound through the vibrations directly onto our ear, rather than through the air. Although in that case, there is actually air around in the air, so there is a little bit of both. So I've got some things to show you anyway. So some examples of contact microphones. This is a contact, it's got some blue tack on the bottom, or some sticky stuff, yep, some blue tack left over. So this is just a basic piezo disc type contact microphone, which is your most common type. This one is made by a guy called Jez Riley French over in the UK, and he makes some fairly rugged and affordable options. They're quite good. Essentially what it is though is it's a piezoelectric disc. There we go. And you can get those from electronics stores, your local friendly electronics store, or online. That's it in its raw format. When you go to, here in Australia at least, a lot of the electronic stores, it comes in the form of a piezo buzzer. So that's the same thing there, just with a plastic casing on it. So I say it's the same. They might have slightly different specifications and slightly different resonances as well, in terms of which affects how they sound and their frequency response. Here is another commercial option that I've got, and that is a Barkus Berry. Makes some very nice ones. That's a planar wave system, and so that's got a little bit of a different setup in there. That one you use with, when you buy it, you buy it with a preamplifier as well, or you typically do. So that's the preamplifier that runs with it. So when talking about any of these devices, there's something worth noting is that they tend to be very high impedance. So what that means is that if we plug directly into a microphone preamp or input, they don't tend to match up that greatly in terms of the impedance, and what that results in is that we don't get a really full frequency response. They tend to be quite thin because they don't capture the low frequencies very well. However, if we have a preamplifier with a piezo buffer circuit, or I've got some other options here which I can show you as well. So there's the Hoser is a passive device, MIT129, and it's a low impedance to high impedance transformer option. So that's fairly popular and not a bad affordable option. Think of it as like a passive DI for people that do play music. And this is more of like an active DI type option. This is the Triton Audio Fethead Piezo. Is it Fethead Piezo, or is it a big amp Piezo, I believe. So that is more of like an active DI and made for piezo pickups. So they've got a really high impedance. So by using a preamp or buffer circuit or a transformer that's customized for that high impedance, that means we get the full frequency response, which usually means a fuller sound, more low frequency content, rather than a thin, tinny sound, which is what you generally get if you plug a piezo pickup straight in. Now, if you're out and you want to capture sounds, it's pretty easy to just experiment, go and place your contact microphone on things. Another way to think of it, which some people actually do, is grab a stethoscope and place stethoscope around places to get an idea of what they're going to sound like. It's a similar sort of concept. They can be quite sensitive, so be careful of having things too loud in your earphones or your headphones, because that can become a bit painful. One thing that can be fun with contact mics is actually using devices, or I'd call them like activators or actuators, to play or make things vibrate basically in different ways. So this is a nice soft mallet type one, and this is a what's essentially a Super Ball, I think they call them, is that right? On a skewer. So that can be either hit or rubbed, which actually gives some cool sounds. And there's various other things we can do as well. So contact microphones can be a fun way to listen into things. A classic one, sound design one that was using contact mics is the sounds of the lasers in Star Wars. So Ben Burtt went and put contact microphones onto guy wires and did a similar thing with the Wall-E laser sounds using metal slinkies. So that can be a really fun way to tap into the different sounds and give you a different perspective that you would normally hear. So why don't we go out and experiment and chuck a contact microphone on a few things and see what we can gather.